Welcome to r/entitled people with a sprinkling of entitled parents. In today's stories, my mother sells my necklace without my consent. An EM tries to steal seats and leaves her kid 6 train carriages away. And mother thinks she has rights to my child and treats him like a doll to show off. What is up, guys, and I do hope you're well. If you enjoy Reddit stories, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe button and that notification bell. And with that being said, let's get straight into the stories. Much love, guys. Our first story is from Lemoni. Mother sells my necklace without my consent. Hello everyone, I'm on mobile, English isn't my first language, you know the drill. Backstory, in the recent years after my great-grandma's death, this is important for later, my mother did 180 and is someone now that I can't even recognise anymore. She's been spending huge loads of money, stealing money from my father, and I caught her several times looking through my purse as well. Keep in mind I'm just a university student in my now second year and I don't have a stable income other than pocket money. She comes home very late, around 11 PM, and I'm pretty sure it's not because of work, as her job definitely does not require late hours. As far as I know from my dad, she's had gambling problems from when I was a baby and is pretty much spending away money gambling again. It was my birthday yesterday. I turned 20. My late great grandmother left me a dainty gold chain with the first letter of my name when I was about 7 and told me that one day when I'm grown up I could wear it and it would remind me of her. I love my grandma to bits. She is the person who raised me, and if it wasn't for her, I have no idea where I'd be today. So you can guess this necklace was very dear to me. I decided to wear it at my birthday party as a symbol of my entering into adulthood and feel as if my dear grandma was there with me. I knew it was in a box in my room, however, when I opened it, the box was empty. I started looking for it around the house, having the gut feeling I wouldn't find it. I decided to call my mum, who's away from the country with my father for the time being. The conversation goes like this. I said, hey mum, do you know where my necklace is from grandma? My mum pauses. Which necklace? You know, the one with the first letter of my name. My mum says, you won't find it. What do you mean? What do you need it for even? I'm absolutely furious at this point. To wear it, obviously. She said, I sold it a long time ago. I'm tearing up at this point. What? How could you? My mum thinks of the dumbest excuse ever. I sold it so I can get you a new one. Me, through tears in a voice that doesn't hide my anger. This one was perfectly fine. My mum then says, why do you talk to me like this? Are you upset? Me, through gritted teeth. Not at all. Then I hung up the phone and threw it in the wall. I know not the wisest reaction I could do. I break down crying. My boyfriend who's helping me with the preparations for the party hears me and comes into my room. He holds me as I cry and I explain to him what had happened. We are both livid. At that very moment I broke and decided I wouldn't let her control me no more. I think she can get away with everything she does because she's playing the victim card. She didn't even try to call me back after I hung up. She called a few hours later. I was extremely cold to her and she tried to play the victim again. I will update if anything happens related to this. Thank you for reading. Oh, again, another sort of abusive relationship. I could make excuses for her gambling habits and stuff, but it's just awful selling your daughter's things when she got like a present from her grandma. That's something that means so much to her, and the mother sold it and is really, really cold about it. How can you make excuses for that behaviour? Like I say in a lot of situations, I think you're doing the right thing and you just got to lead your own life and just try and keep out of hers, you know. She'll be the one that comes back running in the end. I promise you that. Our next story is from a bunch of letters stringed together. EM leaves her kids 6 train carriages away while she tries to steal our seats. So myself and my girlfriend were coming back from Paris after my brother's wedding. We took the Eurostar both ways, but on the way there we went standard class. My girlfriend and I were paying for the return and thought we'd go for it by upgrading to standard premier, which was slightly more expensive than normal standard, but we don't go to Paris very often. There was a third option, business premier, but we're not made of money. The main differences between standard and standard premier are that with standard it's pretty cramped, and with a standard premier you get extra legroom, and with the regular standard you have to go buy food on board, but with standard premier you get food and drinks at your seat. The different options are divided into different carriages. Standard is carriages 1 to 5, premier is 7 to 12, and 14 to 18 are also standard. Girlfriend and I get to the train. Our seats are in the carriage towards the middle, and we're in one of those rows nearest the door. We get settled in our seats ready to leave when EM approaches. All paraphrasing, EM seemed nice at first, but it didn't last. EM said, "Excuse me?" I said, "Yes, I'm terribly sorry to ask you this. I hope you don't mind." My girlfriend then says, "Yes?" My daughter and I are travelling. We got put a bit far back. She has a bad leg. We need to sit a bit closer to the doors, and we can't be getting up to get food and drink. My girlfriend says, "Oh, poor her. I broke my leg a couple of years back and that was awful. And I had to have crutches and everything. How old is she?" "She's 8. She's in a really bad way, but she's such a trooper. It'd be so much easier for her a bit further forward." I said, "Where are you sat?" "Just a little further back." She gestures vaguely behind us, and I get suspicious at this point. I say, "Yeah, but where specifically? What carriage number?" I think it was 3. Now we're in coach 10. This is a significant difference. Additionally, coach 3 is standard seating only. I say, "Isn't that standard class?" "Well, yes, but my daughter needs these seats." Girlfriend is catching on to EM's plan. "Look, we're not unsympathetic, but we sort of paid extra for these seats." Then I say, "Also, where is your kid?" "I'm going back for her once I've sorted the seats, so I can tell her it's sorted." We've not agreed to anything. Isn't coach 3 closer to the front than 10? If it's about proximity, wouldn't you be better off in coach 2? "No, she needs a legroom too, and she can't keep getting up to help." "You look like you can afford it." "Not really, we're just splashing out this once as it was my brother's wedding." The EM huffs. "Look, are you going to give me these seats or not?" Girlfriend, in this oversweet voice she does that usually indicates she's on her last nerve with someone. "It sounds like you're actually further up than we are. If legroom is an issue, then I'm sure we can speak to someone. I'm pretty sure your coach has priority boarding. I'll help you find someone, sort something out. It's really no trouble." Girlfriend gets up and leads EM to the back of her coach, with EM grumbling the whole time. Girlfriend comes back about 5 minutes later and tells me that the daughter, who is not at all entitled, is totally fine and in no way has a bad leg. Apparently the daughter straight up ran up to EM and my girlfriend when they came into the carriage. And girlfriend said that this kid was way too young to be left on her own, and they were actually pretty close to the front of the train. But nothing else happened after that. No stopping, calling the police, assault of any kind. EM just went back to her seat, but girlfriend and I thought we saw her walk through the carriage before ours a little while later and speak to someone in there, so maybe she was trying again with someone else. And that wouldn't surprise me. People like that will just keep trying and try until they get what they want, and I bet you they find some sucker that does it. What I never understand with these stories is how someone has the audacity to walk up and down the carriage and actually do that, ask for someone else's seats. God, that would send my anxiety overboard. Our next story is from Cicatrized. Sorry if I got that wrong. Mother thinks she has the right to my child and treats him like a dog to show off. Honestly, I just need a place to vent. My mother is the entitled parent in this story. Her and I have never had a great relationship. She resented me growing up because she was a single mum and never wanted children. She would never spend time or engage with me and would instead throw money at me to show she cared. Now I'm grown up and independent and just had a baby of my own, and she feels entitled to my son. I've made certain decisions about his upbringing that I'm trying to adhere to. Nothing crazy, just trying to avoid using unnecessary products on him. No baby lotion, no diaper cream unless he gets a rash, homemade baby food, etc. He's now 4 months and it's been working well for us. My mother is very insistent and she gets to see him 2 to 3 times a week. She refers to herself as Glamour, a mix of glam and grandma, and she's already procured a few items saying, "Best grandma ever." Ugh. I've been very hesitant to let her watch him for an extended period of time. I didn't have the best upbringing and honestly believe she would not do what's best for my son. She's always been a very materialistic person and extremely concerned about the image she presents to other people. So I get anxiety thinking of him staying overnight at her place. She keeps asking for him to spend the night, saying she's doing it for me because I need sleep, but I know it's because she likes the novelty of having a baby around. She first started asking for him to spend the night at her place when he was 2 weeks old. I said no every time. When she was first allowed to babysit him, I had to set ground rules because she kept trying to plan parties whenever he was over. She was trying to show him off to all of her friends and neighbours. The thing is, he's a baby. Large groups of people are not good for babies because of their immune systems are weak, and our city has had a number of measles outbreaks. I had to tell her repeatedly that she couldn't be inviting groups of strangers over to pass him around like a doll. She finally agreed, and I let him spend a few hours over at her place. Still, she kept asking for him to spend the night. She also calls me every day, asking when he's going to visit her again, and offering to take him off my hands for a few days like he is an inconvenience. My husband had to go to BC for a wedding, so I was alone for a week. It was hard. 6 days into it and I was at the end of my rope. I had barely had any adult interaction and only slept 3 hours a day. So I called my mother up and asked her if my son could spend the night at her place. I needed sleep, but didn't want to leave him there without me all night. I figured this would be a good compromise. I'd be available if anything went wrong, and she'd get off my back about him staying over. She'd been nagging me for weeks about how I should just give him pablum and how I'd sleep through the night. He was a preemie, and our paediatrician said to wait for solids, but she thought she knew best. I constantly tell him not to feed him anything but his milk. The night came where I was supposed to go to her place. I get there, and there are about 15 people over. Turns out she was having a dinner party. Whether or not she had arranged this before I asked to come over, I don't know. I told her my son goes to bed at 8, and you really need sleep. She assured me that everyone would be gone by 9. That didn't happen. They ended up starting a bonfire, and she's trying to get me to sit by the fire with my son. I tell her I don't want him around all that smoke. He's only 4 months old, so he needs to stay in the house. Besides, he's 8, and he needs to go to bed. She tells me I'm being unreasonable, and should just let him sleep by the fire. I put my foot down and say no. He ends up in his bassinet, and I'm waiting for the party to be done so I can sleep. Because my husband has been gone, and I've been dealing with a baby on my own for 6 days, my sleep schedule is completely out of whack. I was hoping to take some sleeping pills to get a good night's rest, since she was going to feed him through the night. So now I'm waiting for her to come in and take over for me. 10 rolls around and she pops in for a drink before heading back out. I ask her again how late the party is going to go, since I am desperate to get some sleep. She tells me it should be over soon, again, and that she can't stay in the house because she has guests over, and she needs to entertain them. 10:45 comes, and she's still at the bonfire. Again, she comes in to grab something, and sees that I'm still up. She tells me I'm being silly, and should just go to sleep. She doesn't seem to understand that I have insomnia, and need to take sleeping pills, and can't do that until someone else can watch my son. The someone being her, since I asked, and she offered. I reminded her that I was there to sleep, and was waiting on her. She then tells me I'm being ungrateful, since she had this party planned, and she couldn't just ask everyone to leave. She said I should just go to sleep, and not worry about my son so much. I tell her she can't be taking care of him if she's outside. She wouldn't even hear him if he woke up. She said I should just stop stressing, that people will leave soon. I went back to her party. 11:30 comes around, and I'm so tired, I start crying. I can't sleep, and I wasn't getting the help I asked for. I decided to just take my son and go home. If I was doing it on my own, I'd rather be around my own things, and in my own bed. I pack him up and send her a text saying she was too preoccupied to watch my son, and that we're going home. She didn't even see my message until 12:30. How well could she have watched him if she didn't leave her bonfire until then? I ended up getting a string of messages saying it was unfair of me to take him away, that I shouldn't say she didn't care because she spent $700 on him that day, so obviously she cared. I never mentioned anything about caring or caring. She said I was being ungrateful because if I had stayed, I would have been able to sleep in the morning while she took care of him. I don't trust for 1 minute that she would have done right by him. Her guests were taking up all of her time. A week goes by and she asks twice again if he can stay the night at her place. I have no faith in her watching him overnight, but I agreed to let her watch him during the day, Saturday. She says she's going to sleep in, but should pick him up around 9 or 10. 11 rolls around and I haven't heard from her. I give her a call and says she's just gone home, that they can't pick him up until later, so I should just drop him off at her place. She was supposed to pick him up because she lives 30 minutes out of town on an acreage, but drives right past our house when she goes shopping. I tried telling her it's too inconvenient to drive to her place. I'll just keep him with me, but she wears me down and I eventually make the drive out to her place. I tell her I'll pick him up in the evening around 9:30 or 10. At 5 I get a text from her saying she decided to have a bonfire and has invited a bunch of people over. Seriously, the exact same thing as the week before. And tell her again that I don't want my son sitting around the hot sun or hanging around the smoke from the fire. I tell her I don't care what she does, but I will pick my son up if she can't watch him. She tells she is watching him and I don't need to take him. I go to him and I'm pissed off. I've asked her time and time again not to have him around groups of strangers, but to have him around smoke, and she just won't listen. I didn't even want to send him to her place and she just kept nagging that she should watch him. So I planned my day around him, being with her, and had to cancel a D&D game in the middle of the session because she can't respect my wishes. When I pick him up, she starts yelling at me that I'm being ungrateful. She's doing a great job watching him and how much her guests are loving him. She tells me that I'm being unreasonable and rude. To top it off, she tells me that she's going to tell my Baba about my behaviour and that Baba will give me a talking to. What the fuck, woman? I should have known better than to try and trust her. She insists on babysitting my dog every weekend. He has pancreatitis and can't eat fatty foods. He gets extremely sick, but she ignores when I say this and continues to feed him bacon because he likes it. If she can't take care of a dog, How the hell did I think she could take care of a child? And the worst is how she keeps acting like a victim, saying I'm treating her unfairly. Man, I really need to get this off my chest. I don't blame you. Why can't people just respect your wishes? Especially with a child. You're going to be so protective of your child and she doesn't respect the wishes of you. Oh my word. And to think it's okay to I'm just going to let the baby sleep next to this bonfire here with the smoke. That sounds like a great idea. What a moron. Oh my word. What do you guys make out of that story? What would you do if you was in this lady's situation? Anyway guys, I hope you really did enjoy these stories. Thank you to the posters. Really appreciated. Without you, I wouldn't be reading them obviously. And without you viewers, I wouldn't be here either. Thank you very much guys. Take care, much love, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.